The skies over Eastern Europe are once again a theatre of uncertainty and danger. Overnight, Belarus, a close ally of Russia and a neighbour to both Ukraine and Poland, claimed it had intercepted and destroyed drones that had entered its airspace. The announcement was made without confirming whether these drones originated from Russia or Ukraine, leaving open questions that carry enormous geopolitical weight. What is clear is that the war in Ukraine, now well into its third year, is no longer confined to Ukrainian soil. It has begun to seep into the airspace and territories of neighbouring states, raising the stakes for the entire region. The first official word came from Pavel Muravyko, Belarus's first Deputy Minister of Defence. He described how Belarusian air defence systems had been on continuous alert during a nightly exchange of drone strikes between Russia and Ukraine. According to Muravyko, the drones that entered Belarusian skies had lost their trajectory due to electronic warfare measures deployed by both sides. In his words, during the nightly exchange of drone strikes between the Russian Federation and Ukraine, the air defence forces and assets of the Republic of Belarus in service continuously tracked drones that had lost their trajectory as a result of the impact of the party's electronic warfare assets. His statement offered a glimpse into the reality of modern drone warfare, where electronic jamming, signal interference and countermeasures can send unmanned aerial vehicles far off course, sometimes into the territory of countries that did not launch them. Muravyko went on to confirm that Belarusian air defences had indeed destroyed some of these drones over Belarusian soil. He declared, "Some of the lost drones were destroyed by our country's air defence forces over the territory of the Republic, yet the details remain deliberately vague. No images of the wreckage have been released. No confirmation has been offered about whether these drones were Russian or Ukrainian. And while the message from Minsk appeared measured and technical, the implications stretch far beyond the borders of Belarus." This development came just hours after Poland announced that its own air defences had intercepted and neutralised Russian drones that had entered its airspace. For Warsaw, this was the first direct military violation of NATO territory since the war began. The Polish government was quick to coordinate with its allies, reinforcing NATO's commitment to defend every inch of its land and skies. For Belarus, the tone was more cautious, more technical, but nonetheless revealing. Drones linked to the war are now drifting into its skies as well. The irony is striking. Belarus is a staunch ally of Moscow. Its territory has been used by Russia to launch troops, missiles and aircraft into Ukraine. And yet Belarusian air defences are now being forced to respond to the very same war they have supported from the sidelines. By claiming to have destroyed drones, Belarus has positioned itself not only as a participant in Russia's war effort, but also as a vulnerable neighbour caught in the unpredictable fallout of aerial warfare. For NATO allies, this creates a worrying picture. If drones can drift into Polish airspace and into Belarusian skies the very same night, it highlights just how porous the region has become. It is a reminder that modern war does not respect borders. A single drone crash, a single misinterpreted radar blip could ignite a crisis far larger than intended. Belarus's announcement is also noteworthy because it mentioned communication with Poland. Muravyko stated that Polish and Belarusian forces informed each other of the approaching drones. This small acknowledgement of cooperation is striking, given the hostility between the two governments. Warsaw has long accused Belarus of facilitating Russian aggression, while Minsk regularly denounces NATO's presence on its borders. Yet, in the face of drones straying off course, military pragmatism appears to have briefly prevailed over politics. Still, such cooperation is likely to be limited, tactical and temporary. Historically, this is not the first time Belarus has claimed incursions. In 2023, Minsk alleged that Ukrainian drones targeted its military infrastructure, though international observers questioned the evidence. What makes this latest incident different is the broader context. Poland's airspace violation, NATO's sharpened red lines, and Russia's increasing reliance on drone warfare as its conventional missile stocks dwindle. Electronic warfare has become one of the defining features of this conflict. Both Russia and Ukraine deploy jamming systems capable of disabling drones, scrambling their navigation, and forcing them off course. In dense combat zones, this can cause drones to drift miles away from their intended targets. The Belarusian account of drones losing trajectory fits this pattern. though whether it was Russia's systems or Ukraine's that caused the diversion remains unclear. The geopolitical stakes are enormous. If Belarus were to confirm that these drones were Ukrainian, it could serve as fresh justification for Russia to accuse Kyiv of spreading the war beyond its borders. If, however, the drones were Russian, it would expose the risks Belarus faces as collateral damage in Moscow's increasingly chaotic campaign. Either way, Belarus finds itself pulled deeper into a conflict it has tried to manage carefully, siding with Moscow politically and strategically, but keen to avoid direct escalation on its own territory. The timing of this announcement also matters. Europe has been on edge since Poland confirmed the Russian drone incursion. NATO has already warned that such violations could carry severe consequences. By stepping forward with its own claim, Belarus is sending a message. It too is at risk from the aerial chaos unleashed by the war, even though it is aligned with Russia. For countries like Lithuania and Latvia, both NATO members bordering Belarus, this raises alarm bells about what could happen if drones stray just a few kilometers further. Beyond the immediate tactical questions, the episode underscores a broader reality. Drone warfare is reshaping the conflict. Unlike missiles or manned aircraft, drones are cheap, plentiful, and expendable. They can be launched in swarms, jammed, intercepted, and destroyed. But their sheer numbers mean some will always slip through. That makes them both powerful weapons and dangerous liabilities. For Belarus, the political balancing act grows more complicated. Supporting Russia while trying to contain the fallout of its war has always been fraught. Now, with drones falling from the sky, that balancing act risks tipping into direct involvement. If Belarus is seen as a target, it could call for even deeper military integration with Moscow. If it is seen as a victim, it could generate sympathy, but at the cost of further entrenching its dependence on the Kremlin. For NATO, the takeaway is equally sobering. The eastern flank is now exposed not only to intentional attacks, but to unintended consequences of drone warfare. Each incursion tests the alliance's ability to respond quickly, proportionately, and decisively. The fear is not only a deliberate strike, but a miscalculation that sparks a wider war. In the end, the Belarusian statement may sound routine. A handful of drones tracked and shot down, no casualties reported. But in today's Europe, such details carry weight far beyond their immediate scale. They are part of a larger pattern, one where the boundaries between Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and NATO are blurred not by soldiers crossing lines, but by machines that wander, drift, and fall from the skies. And in that blur lies the danger. Each drone that loses its path is not just a piece of machinery. It is a potential spark in a region already soaked in tension. Belarus's calm words mask the reality of what is unfolding, a war that is expanding its reach, pulling neighbors into its shadow, and testing the limits of patience and restraint on all sides.
В ходе ночного взаимного обмена ударами беспилотными летательными аппаратами между Российской Федерацией и Украиной, дежурными силами и средствами по противовоздушной обороне Республики Беларусь постоянно отслеживались беспилотные летательные аппараты, потерявшие курс в результате воздействия средств радиоэлектронной борьбы сторон. Часть заблудившихся беспилотников была уничтожена силами противовоздушной обороны нашей страны на территории республики.